So I'm John Sampson Fellows, a songwriter and cultural worker, and an organizer with Budget for All Winnipeg. I spoke to some of you earlier this year about the underfunding of the arts in Winnipeg, and specifically your disregard for the work of the Winnipeg Arts Council, which many Winnipeg artists rely upon for help and for guidance. And I mentioned then that your attitude towards the Arts Council is sort of a handy gauge for understanding what you think of Winnipeg artists and also of life-sustaining services in general here in Winnipeg. So the numbers are pretty stark. While Winnipeg has one of the lowest per capita arts budgets in the country, it has one of the highest police budgets by percentage. And I think this is sadly consistent with your priorities of favoring things like police and roads over services that would actually make our city welcoming and livable for everyone. So as studies from the Canada Council and arts organizations across the country almost always show, the majority of artists in Canada live below the poverty line. They often work multiple jobs and they live in kind of an uninsured precarity. So they rely on the services a city is meant to provide, which is public transit, libraries, active transportation, parks and recreational facilities, and the real safety and security that is created by living in a just and supportive city. So I think we've all watched in horror as Brian Pallister and his Conservative government have really cruelly mishandled their response to the pandemic, resulting in so much preventable tragedy and pain. And I certainly don't envy you having to work with him. But I think we need to recognize that failures at City Hall are contributing to the frightening situation we're in right now. I think your long pattern of austerity budgets with cuts to life-sustaining services have left you sort of unprepared to help Winnipeg when we need it most. And the arts is sort of just one of many examples of that fact. So other cities have been able to respond differently to the plight of artists during this time. The city of Calgary offered emergency funding for artists as the pandemic began, and then they set aside $2 million to offer resiliency funds to both organizations and artists. The City of Toronto, via their Arts Council, was able to administer the TO Artist COVID-19 Response Fund, which provided emergency funding to nearly 1,000 artists and cultural workers. Winnipeg's government was unable to offer anything. And again, this clearly shows us what your priorities are, and I think this is an opportunity for you to change them. Alternatives are available if you listen, and they are beautiful, they are innovative, and they are wise. Justice for Black Lives Winnipeg's petition, for example, which has been signed by more than 115,000 people, maps out 10 steps you can take to accomplish the goal of defunding the police. And the long list of people who will take the time to speak to you today proves there is a real enthusiasm from Winnipeggers with lived experience, who have expertise and ideas, and a willingness to help if you let them. I hope you really listen to all of them and not just the second speaker this morning. So I think it's pretty late, but it's not too late. You can take the first courageous and moral steps today by resetting your priorities, by freezing the police budget and beginning the process of investing in the people of Winnipeg instead. You can be imaginative and bold and help build the just and creative city we will all be proud to live in together. Thanks very much for your attention.
Thank you for the presentation. I don't see any questions, so thank you, and we'll move on to the next delegation.